And welcome everybody to the final game of the opening round of the 2015 Central Basketball Association playoffs. It's the number 2 seed, Bowling Green Hornets, taking on the number 7 seed, the Springfield Sentinels, in their inaugural season. Bowling Green brings with them the league's leading scorer in Therese Clemens. In the meeting between these two teams last month, Bowling Green prevailed by double digits at home, defeating Springfield 120-101. Unlike playing games in Kentucky, where the Hornets are 12-2 all-time at home, including 4-0 this team, Bowling Green has struggled on the road, where they are 4-9 all-time and are 1-7 in their 3-year history, where they have to travel more than 2 hours away for a game. Springfield, although winning only one game this season, has been quite competitive as of late, especially where they only lost by 9 last week to Fort Wayne. Both teams are 0-1 all-time in Fort Wayne. The Hornets, who have 10 players who average scoring in double digits, are led by the league's leading scorer, Therese Clemens, averaging 29 points per game, and the league's leading rebounder, Torres Hampton, who had 83 rebounds in 8 games to tie Peoria's Ryan Stottle. Springfield is led by forwards Joshua Minner, 17 points a game and 5 rebounds a game, and Kevin Watson, who averages 15 points a game and 6 rebounds a game. Bowling Green is 5-4 all-time when facing a team for at least a second time during a season, while Springfield is 1-0. That win coming against Peoria, the first ever in the franchise's history. Joining me in the booth is Wasim Morad, the president of the Central Basketball Association. And Wasim, I gotta believe it's pretty easy for you to pick a favorite in this game, or pick a team that you're rooting for in Bowling Green with your connections with the Hornets.
I don't know if I'll be rooting for them, but for me, I want to see a good competitive game by both teams. I want Springfield to play away from their record. Don't reflect they're a 1-7 team. I really don't think they are a 1-7 team. I think they're much more talented than that. And if you remember from the preseason predictions, they were predicted to win at least 3 games this season. What has hurt Springfield this season is that they haven't had full rosters during the year, and they have all their forwards in place for this game. And I feel like they can catch Bowling Green in an awkward position right now, with Bowling Green not having a deep bench. They've relied on that 6-man rotation for the last 4 games. It has benefited them. However, they might be overmatched here with the forward play of Kevin Watson, DeArtis Halliburton, Joshua Minner. And these 3 individuals are the key strength for the Sentinels and should be able to match up well against the front court of Bowling Green.
Yeah, for Bowling Green, definitely it's going to be their endurance in this game, and they did it last week, basically subbing out a player about every 2 minutes to try to keep their team fresh. But you look at the players on the floor, and they are fantastic players, and Therese Clemens, Deantra Scott, and Torres Hampton, Kalen Kimberland, along with Marquise Rudolph. I mean, all of those guys can be a star for you.
Absolutely, and they all come from talented programs, talented undergraduate programs, and each brings a unique aspect to their game. If you look at Bowling Green, they only have 6 individuals. However, each is very talented at their position.
Well, the Springfield Sentinels last week against Fort Wayne, the Flight, had a breakout game by number 24, Miles Harvell, 26-year-old at 6'4", 195 out of Robert Morris University there in Chicago. So a big NAIA schools, Robert Morris. As we are getting set here to tip off Bowling Green and Springfield. Springfield's Joshua Minner, along with their guard Shaun Manney, have provided great play throughout the course of the season, and both of those guys right there have played in all 8 regular season games, which is very, very important to the continuity of a team. Also look out for number 31, Deantra Halliburton, along with, once again, number 24, Miles Harvell. All 4 of those players have played in all 8 games with the Springfield Sentinels.
I think the 2 individuals you want to look at, I think my prediction for being stars of the game would probably be number 15, Joshua Minner out of Springfield. He has really stepped it up in the last couple of games. And for Bowling Green, you know, everyone wants to talk about Tereus Clemens, but do not underestimate the work of Kalen, Kimberland, guard out of Lindsey Wilson. This is an individual that was an NAIA All-American and delivered team-high 37 points, game-high 37 points last week, I believe, against Peoria.
Which is one of the top scoring totals in league history. I mean, it puts him in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I believe the record for points in a game is 52.
For points in a game?
Yes.
It was 53 by Brandon Springer, who did it for Middle Tennessee in 2014 at Chattanooga in a 124-100 victory that actually knocked Chattanooga from the ranks of the undefeated last year.
And Chattanooga, once again, did win the regular season last year, but then lost in the opening round of the playoffs to a St. Louis team that the previous year in the inaugural season of the CBA, St. Louis was the champion.
St. Louis the champion and defeated Bowling Green in the championship game, 108-97 in St. Louis.
Well, Bowling Green now with Deantra Scott in the center, set to tip off, and number 31 for the Sentinels is Deantra Halliburton at 6'6", 225 from Faulkner University out of Alabama. And it's controlled by Bowling Green and Terrace Clemens. Marquise Rudolph running the point. Clemens rises up for 3, left a little bit short. Rebounded by Minner. Joshua Minner, good looking forward for Springfield. He's been a highlight reel all season long. Shaun Manney rises up. Wing three-pointer's no good. Torres Hampton picks up his first rebound of the game. Kalen Kimberland found Rudolph. Rudolph kind of collided there with Shaun Manney as he was darting towards the lane.
Jeff, do you think Torres Hampton breaks his own record for a 3rd straight week? In rebounds, that is.
Yeah. 19 rebounds now is his record. He broke the previous record of 18, which he set earlier this year. And most definitely, Wasim, anything's possible with a 6-man roster, especially with this team, because you have 5 very talented players. Turnover picked up by Manny, knocked away by Marquise Rudolph. I mean, at the beginning of the season, Wasim, when I looked at Bowling Green, Deantra Scott was like probably the first player that jumped out at me. But then Terrace Clemens is a very fun player to watch because of his ability to knock down buckets from the field. I mean, there's really no limit to his range out on the floor.
Correct, and he was a good recruit by Coach Nathan Thompson, who has done well in the last 3 years of recruiting so many Division I players for Bowling Green. And this one, he really stretched deep into his pocket, found Tereus Clemens in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. And Tereus played at Jacksonville State and has provided a great performance here for Bowling Green, as well as the league itself.
That's Kalen Kimberland with the nice scoop shot in the lane for the first 2 points of the game. Bowling Green up 2-0 here, 8:40 left here in the first.
Kimberland has great body control once he gets up in the air. He's a very impressive looking player.
And just like that, Marquise Rudolph flies down the court, gets the uncontested lay-in, and you'll see that here with this Bowling Green team. Very smart, very good at pushing the ball up the floor, as Shaun Manney was able to drive past Terrace Clemens. Terrace Clemens, a guard at 6'5", I believe. Terrace goes 6'6".
6'6", and the ironic part is in college he played the 4. And here he's being asked to play the 2.
Well, for a guard, he can definitely block some shots as Marquise Rudolph drains the triple.
Those open threes are going to be there for Bowling Green as as Springfield's going to have to double down on the post, which will leave the perimeter shooters open. So that'll be key to watch today.
To Joshua Minner with his first bucket of the game. So it's Manney and Minner to start off for Springfield. Tim, last week we had a chance to see Miles Harville, and he played a good game for Springfield against the Flight.
Yeah, he did. Him and Minner together had a 1-2 punch that was very tough. Springfield was in that game, almost pulled it out against the Flight. So, anything's possible here in the game of basketball. That's why it's not played on paper. It's played on the hardwood.
Marquise for another three-pointer that time. Just left rims out.
Another left-handed player, Jeff. It's good to see all these lefties out here on the court.
That foul was caught on Levi Smith, his first, team's third. So Springfield with 3 fouls here in the first 2.5 minutes. Bowling Green, 0 fouls. Harville working against Kalen Kimberland. Kimberland's a thick player for a guard. Brings a lot of muscle to the floor.
And can move his feet, Jeff, on defense. You just saw that on display.
Smith contested there by Terrace Clemens. Kimberland, nice feed to Deantra Scott.
That's the chemistry between the two players. They were together when Lindsey Wilson won the championship, their division championship in 2012. Both of them, Deantra Scott and Kalen Kimberland, out of Lindsey Wilson College in Columbia, Kentucky.
Minner for 3, rattles out. Smith with the rebound. Little hop step in the lane, left short. Dallas Halliburton with the putback.
That's another gentleman who had a great game against the Flight, was Halliburton. He was all over the glass against the Flight, so he's a very improved player, number 31 in black, DeArtis Halliburton.
Halliburton there coming up with steal. I believe he had 14 rebounds a week ago against the Fort Wayne Flight. Nice skip pass down to Smith as Clemens was there to knock it away.
Good hands by Clemens, not giving up on the play, getting his hand in there to stop the easy bucket.
Wasim, I gotta believe that Terrace Clemens is one of those players that the league, might be looking at to push to the next level, but still a lot of refining of even his game.
Absolutely. I mean, there's many individuals in this league, including Terrace Clemens, that have the potential to succeed at the next level. Obviously, they need some fine-tuning here and there, go through a little bit of player development, but Terrace Clemens is definitely, in that top 10, top 20 players in this league that will definitely make it to the next level.
Feed goes to Torres Hampton, does a great job of corralling that pass.
You can see the hands, Jeff, on display right there for Hampton. It was a tough pass in short distance, bobbled it a bit, but came up with it, controlled it, and went up for the bucket.
Nice, threading the needle right there with Shaun Manney, finding Joshua Minner. Minner, we've been very impressed with his play all season long as Deantra Scott uses the body there to shield off the defenders. He gets it off the glass.
Yeah, just hanging in the air, finishing through the contact.
His three-pointer is good.
Yeah, James hit a couple threes against the Flight, which helped them stay in the ball game. So, Springfield does have talent. Let's not get it twisted here. They're the 7th seed, but they can definitely pull the upset.
13-11 is your score with Bowling Green on top. Marquise Rudolph driving from the wing. Fall away jumpers, no good. Long rebound by Manney. Manney with the nice pass to Minner. I'll tell you what, Springfield does not come into these games like they're the underdog. They kind of come out with their chest bowed out and really try to play as hard as they can, be as competitive as they can, and they never really get blown out.
Yeah, there's no question about it, and that comes from the coaching staff. I mean, it filters all the way down through the players. It's as Coach Gaffney mentioned in the post game of the last one. Coaching is so important in this league. Talking about Coach Wilmot. So, coaching, one of the in basketball, it's very, very important, especially at this level.
And what a great interview there with Chattanooga head coach Paul Gaffney. And I like what he said. He said, one of the things you can control is your attitude.
Yeah. Attitude and effort is the only thing that you can control. The bounces of the ball you can't control. So that's what he was telling his players, and he even gave us the reason why he called that timeout there towards the end of the game. Wanted to get his team a drink of water and then have them run some more, so they were a little more gassed out, so they could have a nice ride home. So Coach Gaffney always thinking about his players and how to get the most out each and every minute.
Watson now into this game, that 16-foot jumper. He's fouled on the miss. That was Watson with the foul. Kevin Watson wearing number 43 for Springfield, a 6'6", 265-pounder from Lincoln Christian University. You know, Tim, no matter what sport, you play, when you're conditioning and stuff, players always hold up that 4. Hey, we're heading into the fourth quarter. This is where we separate ourselves from the other team. I like how Coach Gaffney there said, I'm going to run my guys here towards the end of the game, because you never know. It might be 1 minute left against Fort Wayne, and they're going to need to put out 130%.
Oh, I can guarantee you Chattanooga's going to have a close game. They're not going to walk through this playoffs by any means, and that's going to start in 2 weeks against the Flight.
James being
nice
guarded by
fake.
Rudolph, absolutely. Hanging in the air. It's going to head to the free throw line for 2.
We touched on that last night, the pump fake, and how useful that offensive weapon is, and a lot of players just not putting that in the arsenal. You saw it right there on display. Nicely done by Lincoln James, number 34 for the Sentinels.
So the foul's going to be called on Chris Watson, number 11, as the first free throw is good. Watson is a new face for Bowling Green, played in his first game in the regular season finale and scored 11 points, also had 13 rebounds.
Chris Watson is one of those individuals that from NAIA University of Pikeville up in Kentucky. He played in Mexico in the CBA Copa League this season and was a mid-season pickup, a late-season pickup by the Hornets to bring some experience on board.
Yeah, and what a great pickup anytime you can get a 6'8", 230-pounder. Last game of the season, not too shabby. 15-14 your score with Springfield on top. So interesting game here. Kalen Kimberland with the steal, finishes on the other end. Kalen Kimberland, just a big, strong body. Tim, you see a guy like Miles Thrash, E.J. Ward, they'll go 150, 160 pounds, and that's fine for them. But sometimes it's nice to have that bulk when you're battling out there.
Yeah, especially just like the reigning MVP we talked to last game, Antonio Cannon from the Flight. Only 5'10", 5'11", but the bulk makes up for that so he can finish through the contact.
Torres Hampton with another putback. So Terrence Clemens has yet to score in this game as he comes up with the steal. He's got Watson to his left, Marquise Rudolph to his right. But you saw that, Tim, 2 defenders in the lane. He doesn't hesitate at all. He knows what to do to get the separation, to get that open look.
Yeah, 2 steps ahead. We talked about Miles Thrash yesterday with always 2 steps ahead. Clemens right there knew what he was going to do when he crossed the half court, went with the high dribble, and finished strong through the contact. He's a great player, is Clemens.
And Clemens is one of those examples, like we talked about last night with Antonio Cannon, of how the CBA is always trying to make each individual better on different facets of the game. So this weekend has been great for all the players because they've been consulting different coaches, different scouts, getting feedback by various individuals of where they should improve the game. With Tereus Clemens, the scouting report on him was that he's a pure scorer but does not play defense. So he's applying that right now. In the first quarter, he already has 3 steals.
Yep. So. Yeah, absolutely. And from the guard position at 6'6", obviously he's a long defender and he can cause a lot of havoc. When you've seen, take Chattanooga for example, their guards go 5'8", 6'1" with E.J. Ward and Dante Hampton. With Freeman Pinckney coming off the bench at 5'11", 6 foot. So definitely a unique guard is Terrence Clemens, and I really love his shot.
Yeah, it's a mismatch waiting to happen is Clemens. He's you can put him in the backcourt, put him on the 3, at the 4, as Wasim mentioned, played the 5 in college. So, I mean, he's very versatile. So, yeah, it's a mismatch waiting to happen.
Tim, covering high school basketball in the city of Fort Wayne, does it not remind you a little bit of VJ Beecham, the great 6-man out of Notre Dame? Yeah,
there's no question about it. New Haven Bulldog product. Played plenty of minutes for Coach Bray and the Irish this year. Just multifaceted, can play, do the point forward role, can play you the wing. It can be just a straight-up slasher, can be a spot-up shooter. So, he reminds me of a lot of Beecham. I guarantee you VJ would like to have a little bit more of his strength, though. But Coach Brays will do a job with VJ there in South Bend.
Terrace Clemens, really hard to contest that jumper, standing 6'6" tall. So Harvell being guarded by Kimberland, as that was Marquise Rudolph, and a nice poke by.
It looks like a punch out right there.
Yeah,
that was a volleyball move right there by Torres Hampton. Nicely done. Realized he didn't have the time to grab it. Just bumped it up to his teammate. Nicely done.
And I think he's asking, does that count as a defensive rebound?
well, Wasim, I marked it as a rebound, so we're counting that as a rebound.
And you see that more and more in today's basketball, where guys down on the block, instead of trying to go up for the board, will tip it out to their guy on the perimeter. And Tim, I have to believe that that's just due to how fast the game is.
Well, that's involved. That's the evolving of basketball. The pick and roll, the crossover, the hesitation dribble. It's all things that have evolutionized through the many years of so many players playing the game of basketball. So, it's a great move.
Yeah, Olafemi Enkapadai did a great job down here on the block, knocking that ball free, as number 34 Lincoln James finished on the other end for Springfield to pull them within 4, 21-17.
Yeah, Jeff, and you did a great job on the pronunciation right there. That's a tough gentleman's name to get right.
So now it's Kimberland. Nice skip pass.
Woo!
Deantra Scott had that shot rejected by Chris Watson. Watson started off the season with Springfield. He'd been missing towards the end of the regular season. Nice to see him back, though. Well, actually, he only missed 1 game. He's got 7 games under his belt, averaging 15 points a game and 6 rebounds a game. Also 2 blocks a game, Tim.
Yeah, he's got kind of the Caleb Swanigan out of Homestead. Kind of got that body style, maybe a couple inches shorter than Biggie, but and Biggie's not going to do that. And he may be wise to go down in the block as well. Just not his game. With Minner and Manny and James, let's leave the threes to the players that have the high percentage, because this is going to be a battle. You can't give up possessions here in this game against Bowling Green.
Clemens jumper off the mark. Watson's there with the strong football. Chris Watson. 23-17. Bowling Green extends their lead.
Can't leave him alone, Jeff.
Minner from the wing drains it.
Minner with 9 early points here in the quarter. Picking up right where he left off last week against the Fly, Jeff.
Watson now driving from the wing. Right-handed lay-in's no good, but he's fouled and will head to the free throw line to shoot 2.
Springfield is hanging in there, just like they did last week here against Fort Wayne. They finished the first quarter last week up 22-20, and here they're only down by 3 with 1:06 left.
And a huge shout out to Springfield, bringing pretty much their whole roster here, Wasim, to the CBA playoffs. Obviously, it's a little bit of a shorter drive for the Illinois teams, I guess you could say, here to Fort Wayne.
You're still talking about 5 hours, but the commitment is there, the dedication is there, and they really want to upset a team or two here in the playoffs to really show other teams that, just because they had a 1-7 record does not mean anything. The regular season is yesterday's news. Right now, anyone can win in the postseason.
Yeah,
everybody's 0-0 coming into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was going to say, Tim, you got a chance to interview head coach Julian Gorans last week, and he doesn't really hide from anything.
No, he didn't hold anything back. There's no question about it. And I'm sure, I mean, if he's going to be, that up front with the media, he's going to be that up front with his players. So much respect to Coach Gorans. Not only that, one of the best dressed coaches in the league with that vest. Always sporting a nice look over there is Coach Gorans.
Yeah, he appears to be a coach that wears his emotions on his sleeve, and his passion for basketball is obviously evident.
No question.
That's another situation where Therese Clemens has stuck his hand in and knocked the ball out of bounds. He's playing much better on the defensive side of the floor, which he had not done in the regular season.
And that's another thing evolving with the game of basketball. Coaches and teams statting deflections now. Deflections are a huge part of the game of basketball to break the momentum for the offensive team. Getting your hands in the passing lanes, it sounds so simple, Wasim, but not a lot of guys do it.
No, they don't. And the benefit of this weekend, of the playoffs being at one location in Fort Wayne, is the fact that you have these individuals being able to connect with various coaches and get some feedback and apply it in the action.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason, Wasim, for the CBA. Really looking forward to season number 4 next year in 2016. Torres Hampton battling underneath.
5 rebounds here in the first quarter for Hampton.
Plus a punch out.
Plus showing his volleyball skills.
Big Torres will head to the free throw line.
Bowling Green may be in a little bit of trouble. It looks like Kalen Kimberland is being checked out by the Docs.
Yeah, he's on the athletic training table right there with shoe off. So, obviously wish Kimberland the best. Hopefully can get back in this ball game.
Wasim, it really seems like the 3 teams from Tennessee and Bowling Green being right on the outskirts, they really benefit from having those teams in close proximity all being a part of the same league, because if one player gets cut from another team, then another team can pick them up.
Absolutely. So if you look at various individuals, such as Torres Hampton, who's about to shoot his second free throw right now, Torres Hampton played for the defending champions, Middle Tennessee Storm, for the last 2 seasons. Another individual, John Paul Niodaro, played for the Storm during preseason last season. And if you look at Memphis and Mississippi, that should not count. If you look at Memphis and Mississippi, Memphis had several players that, they did not want to keep on their roster. Mississippi came on board and picked them up. So that regional relationships helps a lot, and that's one of the reasons why Peoria, Springfield are paired up, Memphis, Mississippi are paired up, Nashville, Bowling Green are paired up, and hopefully in the future we can find pairings with Fort Wayne here with Indianapolis, and down in Chattanooga with Knoxville.
Yeah, very exciting would be the expansion into Indianapolis. Great high school basketball in that area. The NC2A Final Four is routinely in Indianapolis. It's a nice centralized location, beautiful downtown, and they do a good job putting on a show there. So definitely looking forward to the CBA expanding into Indianapolis. But, I like the idea of multiple teams, in the same state or in close proximity, because now owners have somebody to bounce ideas off of another owner that's close by, or, hey, this player, just because a player is cut from a team doesn't mean they're not good. Maybe they have too many guards. Maybe they need somebody that's 6'8", and they can't hold a guy that's 5'11".
Correct. Lots about fit, no question about it.
And that's real life. Whether you're playing at the pro level or even overseas, certain teams are looking for certain positions. Certain strengths, and just because you may not fit with that club does not mean that's a reflection of your ability. You just didn't fit into that team's plans, but another team, you may be a perfect fit.
Yeah, and you heard it from Ryan Stottle in that post-game interview where he said, I'm trying to play my role. Coach has set a role for him, and he's trying to, act that out on the floor, and I think he did a great job in game number 1 today.
Another double-double.
Another double-double. And some triples, hitting the jumpers from beyond 16 feet. So he's got the mid-range to three-point shot down.
You always have those individuals that are very good on not-so-good teams. Unfortunately for him, he's on a team that just finished the season 1-8. However, if Peoria can add, like we said, if they can add a few pieces in that backcourt and have someone to complement Ryan in the front court, where teams won't double team him or force him, he could benefit immensely in 2016.
Yeah, and a tough break for Peoria. I mean, they go out and they pick up a great player like Matt Sally, but he had other obligations in his basketball career in China.
Yeah,
so.
Matt Sally's currently in China right now, so we wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he'll be in a Panthers uniform next season.
Absolutely. Well, here in the start of the second quarter, home team's on top, Bowling Green, 27-22. Harville's shot, I think that may have been partially blocked as Marquise Rudolph on the other end cannot finish. Manny comes down with the board. Skip pass finds James, and he finishes.
Yeah, I think Manny got away with a push down there on the offensive rebound, but
I don't think they're going to count that basket.
Called it on the floor.
Call on the floor. So Watson called with the foul. That'll be his second, team's first.
If Springfield was smart in this situation and recognizing that Bowling Green is struggling without a bench, they try to force Bowling Green into a situation where they get into early foul trouble.
Yeah, and unfortunately we saw that in game number one a little bit with Peoria. You know, Jason Angel early in the third quarter picked up his fourth foul.
And Brandon Lee, I believe, in the first 5 minutes picked up 2 early fouls.
Yeah. Yep.
Because then that affects your game. Then you're thinking, I don't want to pick up the third foul, and it gets you out of the element, and that affects the entire team.
Absolutely. It changes your aggressiveness so much. There's no question about that.
Deantra Scott with the lob up to Watson. Little two-man game there, Tim, but it was a kind of a cross-court two-man game.
Well, that was a good play by James. I mean, not a good play as far as defensive rotation, but not giving up that alley-oop. It would be only 2 points, but that would have really got Bowling Green going, would have pushed it to a 7-point advantage. So, you know, sometimes a foul is the right play to make there.
That lob right there would have had me going up here in the booth. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You know, and that's just the athleticism that we get to see here at the CBA. I mean, we're lucky to be able to see, you know, these outstanding players and the athleticism, the skill set. So we're lucky to be sitting here in Fort Wayne watching this. And it looks like Kimberland's over there trying to loosen up the leg. Looks like he's moving pretty good, so hopefully he can make a return for Bowling Green.
Yeah, not sure if that's a groin injury there, moving laterally like he is.
It is. It's an ankle injury. He was taping up that foot, so it looks like maybe an ankle or a foot injury for his right foot.
So Manny gets fouled on the three-point attempt.
Yeah, just not a smart foul by Rudolph. That's one of the worst fouls you can make is on a jump shooter, especially one from three-point land. So, you know, Manny here with the opportunity to hit three and cut this lead.
Cut the lead down to 4. It's 23-29 right now after the first make. Second one does not connect. Wasim heading into next season, do you have any prospects for maybe a new franchise or two to come into the league?
We're looking at various different cities at the moment. There have been many inquiries from approximately 6 to 8 different states. But anytime you want to bring a new organization to the league, there's a vetting process that is associated with it. You know, looking at their financials, looking at their venue, looking at their player pool, and looking at how they would benefit the league from a geographical point of view, from a logistical point of view, etc. Hopefully we can add 2 more teams, get to 10 for the entire league, and divide our league up into 2 divisions, a north and a south.
Watson underneath follows his own shot. Looked like there was a jump ball there for a second as James and Watson were locked up on the block.
Yeah, that had to be called a travel or a jump there. It was either or. You couldn't let that play on.
Folks, remember to subscribe to the Play CBA YouTube channel for all the latest full games, along with our highlight show and various highlights throughout the year. You'll want to stay subscribed to Play CBA for some exciting professional basketball action.
Yeah, that was Hampton. He was trying to make that bounce pass in tight quarters there. Had the right idea, just couldn't execute that.
So D'Artis Halliburton now in for Lincoln James. 8:17 left here in the second quarter. Just a 3-point lead for Bowling Green. Bowling Green sharpshooter Terrace Clemens has yet to really get going in this game, because when he gets hot, buckets drop. Rudolph's pass was intercepted there by Manney.
Looks like Bowling Green is forcing too many passes inside into double coverage, and that's what's causing the turnovers.
Yeah, trying to make the difficult one instead of the smart, easy one. 9 times out of 10, that pass that you force is going to end up in a turnover. Don't try to get cute with it. Just reverse the ball, keep the ball movement alive, and you don't have to force those tight passes.
So the foul was called on Marquise Rudolph, his second, team's third.
You can't let a team like Springfield, you can't let any team just hang around, especially if they have nothing really to lose. Yeah. Everyone knows they're the underdogs. Everyone knows that, you know, they're not expected to win, although the predictions are they will. But, you know, if you let them hang around, they'll get confidence. And if you go into the fourth quarter, then that pressure builds on that favored team, on that higher seed, and they start missing shots. And that, you know, Springfield in this situation has a lower seed that can come out and upset an opponent.
You know, in talking with Coach Gorens after last week's game, you can tell he's just ready. He is ready for that moment. He wants to be within 4 points with 2 minutes left in the game so his team can strike and pull off that victory. I mean, you almost feel like the culmination of this regular season is leading to an upset here. And really, the more and more we talk about it, you see where the CBA did, you know, they predicted Springfield to win, and yeah, it sounds like it could happen.
Yeah, there's no question it could happen. I mean, it's not played on paper. It's played on the hardwood right here. So, you know, Springfield's come out with a lot of intensity. Hit a couple shots. Minner's been real tough here in this first half. So, with him and Watson, you know, down low, they're hanging in there. So we'll see what happens. But right now, only down 3 with 8 minutes to play in the second quarter. It's right there for them.
Yeah, they emulate their head coach. And Wasim, it seems like all these head coaches, you can just say so many positive things for, you know, all the way from, you know, Memphis, Chattanooga, Middle Tennessee. And then you heard Coach Gaffney talking about Roderick Wilmot for Fort Wayne. Really, I mean, does it start with the coaching here with these franchises? Do you think it starts with the ownership?
I think it starts with the ownership because they have to find the right coaches. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they are selecting coaches that they feel like are the best to develop their players. And right now, whether it's Julian Gorens in Springfield or Nathan Thompson in Bowling Green in terms of this game, every coach across the league has helped develop their players and are key cogs to a player's success.
So really with the CBA, it's a selective process then when finding the next owner, the next franchise for the league, because you want that owner in a situation to be successful.
Yeah, and they need to, whenever they're vetted, we look at them and say, you know, what's the coach, what's the prospective coach you're looking at, why are you looking at? And we want to make sure that they have members on the staff that are marketable, that they can actually do their job. It is no coincidence if you look at it in the CBA's history. We have individuals, I mean, right now in front of us we have Rod Wilmot, who started off with the flight. Because of his success with the flight, received an assistant coach position with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. If you look at Bowling Green's old coach in their first season was former Harlem Globetrotter Otis Key, who after his first season was given the head coaching job at Volunteer State Community College. There are other individuals, other players that have played in the league that went on to coaching positions at top universities and top high schools.
So lots of connections already being built here in the CBA in just year number 3. Kimberland over to Watson as Terrace Clemens heads to the bench here to get a breather here in the second quarter. 7:15 left to play. Scott goes cross court over to Marquise Rudolph. It's a little bit too strong.
It's been a very sloppy second quarter so far. You know, only 7 points have been scored in the first 3 minutes by both teams combined.
In Springfield, they look very, very active on the defensive end, communicating with each other, active hands in the passing lane. So if Springfield can keep this defensive intensity up, you know, they're right in this game. And, you know, a couple threes, and you never know.
5 of the 7 points have come from the free throw line here in the second quarter. As Miles Harvell's shot was short, Kimberland, beautiful take to the cup as he found an opening. Tim, he found some space there in the block and marched right to it and got the easy layup.
Yeah, and it was real subtle what he did there with the ball. He kind of did like a fake pass to the left and then laid it up with his right hand just to give himself enough separation to get that layup up.
Manny off the heel. That was rebounded by big Torres Hampton.
7 boards for Hampton.
Hampton, the league's leading rebounder at 83 rebounds on the season. That tied him with Ryan Stottle, and he holds the record for rebounds in a game. Actually, he holds the current record, and he held the last record at 18 rebounds. So current record at 19.
Yeah, he's a big, wide body, uses that body well. Not a leaper by any means. My goodness.
Inbounds pass. That got Clemens off his seat, too.
Clemens had to go walk around the bench on that one. My goodness.
I think Watson was in the air for 5 seconds.
That was outstanding.
Manny with the strong take, no good. Rebounded by Watson. Now Deantra Scott. It's like, boy, how do I follow that
Heads up play by Scott.
Just pulling it back out.
Pulling it back out, not forcing it. That is smart basketball IQ.
33-27 is your score with 5:45 left here in the second. Hampton's going to be fouled by Deartis Halliburton. Yeah, they'll call it on number 31. So it looks like Lincoln James is going to check back in. You know, Springfield really does have a nice set of bigs with Halliburton, and then you got Ankapadide and Watson.
Hey, Jeff, just go back to that last lob. That was an out-of-bounds play that was designed. That was no accident. That was designed by Coach Thompson. It was ready to go. They found the lob easily. Watson had about chin to the rim, and as Wasim mentioned, just kind of hung. We were sitting here, it seemed like checking our watches for him to get the ball and flush it down. So outstanding play.
It looked like if Chris Watson hadn't touched that ball would have gone straight into the net.
It might have. It might have.
I believe that was Marquise Rudolph with the inbounds.
I wasn't sure if it was Marquise or Therese Hampton, but either way, it's the end result that matters.
Absolutely. Manny bumping in the lane, finishes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful move. He saw the contact, knew he was going to go to the Euro step, found the contact, felt that first, and then went with it. And right there, Jeff, Halliburton's got to get his outside foot on the baseline, force his defender to the lane where his help defense is. If he sends him to the baseline, he's either going to foul or he's going to give up a layup. So that defense on the baseline is key to turn the offensive guy into the lane where your defense, team defense, is standing waiting.
There, Halliburton picks up his second foul and the team's fourth. So both teams have 4 fouls here with 5 minutes left to play in the second as Terrace Clemens is back in for Bowling Green. Kimberland's jumper off the mark, tracked down by Kalen Kimberland. Deantra Scott for 3, no good. James with the rebound.
And on that last one, Hampton almost had 2 Springfield players in front of him. Still got a hand on the ball, about got the rebound. So he's just crafty down there. It's beautiful block there by Scott.
And Minner picks up the rebound and finishes at the cup. That's Joshua Minner. Rudolph shot off the mark, rebounded by Halliburton. So Springfield pulls within 2, 33-31.
Looks like they might be in the bonus.
That one's on Rudolph.
So Minner already with 13 points in this game.
Rudolph's third. And the double bonus now.
This puts Coach Thompson in an awkward situation or a difficult situation. Do you pull out Rudolph and save him for the second half, or do you risk, because you don't have a deep bench and you don't have any guards on the bench, do you risk him getting a fourth in the first half.
Yeah, and I think he's forced to stick with him right now. I know he'd like to have him out of the game, but you only have what you have. So if you don't have 2 or 3 guys on the bench, you're going to have to go with what you got and trust your player to stay out of that fourth foul.
Well, not to mention the fact that Shaun Manney is probably the most active player outside of Joshua Minner for Springfield, so having to guard him.
Yeah, and that's another adjustment that they can make, switching him off onto another offensive player. But at his size, I mean, you're going to guard Minner or one of the slashers, so you're going to be put in a position to foul.
So Minner checks out, Ankabadai back in for Springfield. Terrace Clemens being guarded by Deantra.
He should go right by Halliburton.
Kimberland rises up. Three-pointer is good by number 4, Kalen Kimberland.
His first 3 of the ball game, pushing the lead to 4.
36-32. Shaun Manney, beautiful scoop shot.
Yeah, nice scoop by Manney.
On the other end, looks like Lincoln James trailing, looking for the block. Kimberland's going to head to the free throw line.
Yeah, they got a foul there. Let's see who they got that on. That's his first.
3:57.
This last stretch is going to be very important for both clubs. If Springfield wants to stay in the game, they don't want Bowling Green to extend it. And for Bowling Green, they want to put away Springfield here and go into the half with positive momentum.
And no fouls, hopefully.
Yeah, that's key.
What's hurt Bowling Green so far, and Springfield has taken advantage of, is those turnovers.
Yeah.
Bowling Green has forced passes in the paint, and Springfield, with their athleticism through Minner and Manney, have really, taken advantage of those opportunities.
Once again, both teams playing for the opportunity to make it to the semifinal round. Semifinals being held May 30th here at the McMillan Center. Game number 1, 6 p.m. Game number 2, 8 p.m. We've already got game number 1 in the books. It'll be the number 1 seed Chattanooga versus the number 4 seed Fort Wayne Flight. We did have an upset yesterday as Memphis lost to Middle Tennessee, so the number 6 seeded Storm will play in game number 2 and take on the winner of this game.
It's tough to say that it's an upset, even though, on paper it's 6 versus 3, but you're talking about a 1-game separation between those two clubs, and Middle Tennessee, they're the defending champions. So, yes, it would be interesting next week to have a 1 versus 4 and a 6 versus 7.
Yeah.
It'd be I don't think many people would have predicted that.
Nope. But, yeah, we talked about it, I think, with Benny a little bit yesterday. You have a grouping of 5 teams. And really flip a coin when those 5 teams meet up, And you could pretty much throw Chattanooga into that mix as well. It's just that the ball's bounced their way a few times this season, getting to play a Fort Wayne at home. Chattanooga, hats off to Chattanooga. They came up large in the last regular season game at Mississippi, where, Mississippi brought in Jeremy Williams. They still had Mardrakus Wade. And, they had a lead there. Chattanooga battled back, took them into overtime, and I think that's where, being that second-year team that has won 2 regular season championships, just kind of took over in overtime. Cool, calm, and collected.
What's scary about that is Chattanooga won by 30 today without Jonathan Adams.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be a very tough out, and I don't even think they're going to be an out. If you remember the early season predictions, they were actually predicted to win the championship this year. So they're doing exactly what they were expected to do, and that's to win a championship.
And you can see that with Coach Gaffney's confidence in his club. He knows what he has. There's no question.
But I feel like, Tim, the one thing that's been universal here with these teams is just that sense of family once again, and you saw it with Memphis, yesterday.
Fort Wayne Flight, perfect example with the guys that even hang around and work here for Parks and Rec and for Benny Lewis. So, it's a great family environment with all these clubs, from the general owners all the way down to the last guy on the bench.
And those are things that we look at when we're vetting teams, is that, you know, what is your relationship with any teams that are currently in the league? You know, did you go out to CBA games? Or are you connected with this organization or that organization? It's that word of mouth, the trust factor, because you don't want to introduce some stranger into the league. Every team that came into this league has been connected to another team. Granted, they are different cities, but it's through word of mouth, through trust factor, and they need to have the ability to work together.
Yes.
You don't want ownership groups that are combative, that are reluctant to adapt to the style of the league, because there are many other leagues that are out there that they can compete in. In the CBA, it's unique that we're looking for a certain type of owner. We're looking for a certain type of coach, a certain type of player, and teams, players, coaches that we can market, that we can advance to the next level. And if you don't want to go to the next level, or if you don't want to take the resource that we provide to go to the next level, then that's your prerogative. You just won't play in the CBA.
Yeah.
Nice shoes, Kalen.
Not sure. So here we are in the second quarter, 3:45 left to play, with the number 2 seed Bowling Green Hornets on top, 37-32. You know, Wasim, you talk about a prospective owner, what kind of relationship do they already have with the CBA? And the first thing that comes to my mind is networking. You know, do you already have those relationships? So if you get in a crunch, you have somebody that you can dial up. Terrace Clemens, they're going to call him with the charge.
And who says game of basketball isn't a contact sport? Right there, James saw Clemens coming at him, stood strong and took it in the chest for the charge. He's going to feel that in the morning, but outstanding defensive play, giving up the body for the team.
Lincoln James is one of those individuals that has played overseas. He was brought in to Springfield to provide that experience. I think if he was 26 years old, he would have escaped that, but being around 36, that must hurt those old bones.
There's no question.
That's another punch out.
Long rebound there. That's Deantra Scott. Thanks to the punch out by Kimberland. Terrace being guarded by Halliburton.
Nice cut.
Marquise Rudolph.
Good look.
Beautiful look as Tress Hampton was left all alone.
Marquise Rudolph last week against Peoria set a team record with 10 assists for Bowling Green.
Yeah, he's a dynamic player. You can also lead him in scoring. I mean, you have a number of guys for Bowling Green that can lead that team in scoring.
Yeah, averages almost 14 points a game and 6 assists. So
James underneath.
So just a 5-point lead here, Jeff. 2.5 minutes to play in the quarter. Springfield get a stop. I'm telling you, they're going to gain some momentum and some confidence, and there's a turnover now. So let's see what happens and see what the Sentinels can do.
That's Hampton's 5th turnover this game. So yes, he's been providing those rebounds, but a bit sloppy with the ball.
Yeah, it has been the Achilles heels mentioned.
And that's a big reason Springfield's in this ball game still.
Right.
Manney to Miles Harville. One-on-one with Deantra Scott. Fadeaway jumper is
like
good.
Lincoln James got hurt again.
Springfield might be wise. They got lucky there with a kick ball. I was going to say they may be wise to get a foul.
It's like
they
Kevin
need
Watson.
To get James out of the ball game.
Yeah, big Kevin Watson's going to come in.
And it looks like Lincoln James doesn't want to come out.
Torres is coaching him up there. Oh, it's okay. You can go. You can go sit down for a little bit. We don't need you filling up the cylinder.
Let's see what Coach Thompson has up his sleeve here on this out-of-bounds play.
Well, it's not going to be Watson with the dunk this time because he's on the trigger. Inbounds pass goes up to Terrace Clemens. 4-3. Beautiful looking stroke. High arcing shot there, Tim, by Terrace Clemens.
He needed that one.
Yes.
He struggled all game so far, and he needed that basket.
And that's going to extend the lead to 6 for Bowling Green.
Official timeout.
So we had the net still hung up there after that bucket by Harville. Nice baseline jumper. It was beautiful. Manney threading the needle as Watson jumps right over Deantra Halliburton.
There was the pump fake and display right there by Halliburton. Just showed the ball a quick second, got his defender in the air.
Now Manney pulling up for three, and it's good.
It's what I was saying a couple minutes ago. Turnovers, Springfield's taking advantage of them there with Manney with the turnover off of Kimberland and hit the three.
That pulls the Sentinels to within one, 42-41. Harville with the tight defense on Clemens. Kimberland being guarded by Watson. Yeah, that kind of looked like a mismatch when Watson's up there on the top of the key.
Yeah, as soon as Kimberland saw that Watson came out on him, he knew exactly what he was going to do. It made it look very easy.
Manney looking for back-to-back triples, no good, as Hampton tips it out to Kimberland.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a heat check.
So you give Torres Hampton the rebound there, Tim?
Yeah.
Foul going to be called on Deantra Halliburton. That's his third, team sixth.
Line shooting for the Green Hornets. Number 4, Kalen.
Springfield's got to be very excited. Only down 3, 51 seconds to play in the first half. If they can keep it here, they can go into the halftime with quite a bit of confidence.
Absolutely.
Going into the third quarter. So this could be huge for Coach Goins and the Sentinels.
Yeah, Coach Goins over there talking with Shaun Manney. You could tell he feels good. He feels good about his team right now. 46-41 is your score after Kimberland drains both those free throws. 5-point advantage, just 40 seconds left here in the first half. Halliburton rises up, top of the key, no good. Scott with the board. Kimberland looking down to Watson. And they're going to call a charge on Kimberland.
Yeah, offensive foul. They're going to call a push off on Kimberland. Just got the chicken wing out there a little bit. And if a referee sees that, it's going to be called 99.9% of the time.
Kind of like the hook down the block.
Yeah, and I've seen that not called as much lately, even in the NBA and college. I don't know if the players are just doing it too quick for the referees to see, but you can watch a lot of replays on post moves down low and see players hooking and not getting called for it. So, but that's smart on a player's standpoint. If the referees aren't calling it as much anymore, go ahead and use it as a tool to get an open look.
Or if you can hide it in the congestion, down on the block.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a part of the move. You just can't get it all the way hooked around. But yeah, it's an offensive move nonetheless.
Manney with the extra pass to Halliburton, 7 seconds.
Good touch.
Baby jumper's good. 2-1, Kimberland. Thought we were going to have a Steph Curry moment there. So heading into the break, Bowling Green up 46-43. Bowling Green obviously undermanned here with just 6 players, but they're used to that. Last few games of the regular season, they've had a smaller roster.
Jeff, you've probably seen all the games this season. It's probably safe to say this is probably the worst first half performance by Bowling Green and one of the best first half performances by Springfield, absent their game, not counting their game against Peoria.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and I feel like the key factor to that is Terrace Clemens, because every single game, and it seems like it's happening every single quarter, where he'll get hot and his shots just fall. It doesn't matter if he's got a hand in his face or if he's double teamed. He's got that unique ability to kind of dribble his way into mess, but then fade away and get that high jumper to fall. At 6'6", he can rise up and get that elevation to where he can get that shot off. And here in the first half, Clemens ended up with, looks like 8 points.
Very quiet 8 points.
Very quiet 8 points. He did hit a tray, and that happened towards the end of the second quarter there. But absolutely, it's just very, very nervous here for Bowling Green, because I know the kind of heart, the attitude that Coach Julian Gorns has with Springfield, and his team being 1-7 entering today's game. It's like, all right, I've got my guys exactly where I want them. Well, folks, we're going to take a break up here in the booth, but we will be back with you before the start of game, or the second half. Welcome back, everyone. We are just 2 minutes away from the start of the second half here with the Bowling Green Hornets up 46-43. Leading Bowling Green in scoring was number 4, Kalen Kimberland, with 14 points. He also had 2 rebounds and 1 steal unofficially. Terrace Clemens chipped in 8 points and 2 rebounds. He had 3 steals. Marquise Rudolph with 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Deantra Scott with 4 points, 3 rebounds. Big Torres Hampton had 6 points and 7 rebounds. And Chris Watson with 6 points, 5 rebounds for Bowling Green there in the first half. Looking at the Springfield Sentinels, led by Joshua Minner, their main man with 13 points, only had 1 rebound, 1 steal. Shaun Manney had 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Levi Smith with 0 points, but did have 1 rebound. Miles Harville with 2 points. Giardis Halliburton had 6 points and 3 boards. Lincoln James with 9 points, 1 rebound. And Kevin Watson had 1 point, 1 board, 1 block for the Sentinels there in the first half. Tim, Springfield keeping it close in this one, but really, I don't know if you can be too surprised after having seen their progression towards the end of the regular season, then coming into this matchup with a full roster, taking on a Bowling Green team that has 1 player on the bench.
Yeah, Coach Gorns really has his players going, has consistently improved them throughout the season. Record doesn't reflect that, but they've had quite a bit of close games, as the season's progressed. So, we cannot count out Springfield here in this second half. Only down 3. A lot of their points have came off of turnovers. So it's been an outstanding performance for Springfield. A couple threes here or there, made basket here or there, and they'd have the lead. So they got to feel good, does Coach Gorns and the Sentinels.
Yeah, Springfield in their first matchup against Peoria lost 75-74, a game that easily could have went to the Springfield Sentinels. So it looks like Chris Watson being attended to by the athletic trainers as he will start this second half on the bench. Giardis Halliburton with the inbounds pass here to start the third for Springfield. Kevin Watson getting the start here in the second half for the Sentinels as well, with Harvell, Minner, Halliburton, and Manny. So a good 5 out there for Springfield as Lincoln James stretching, trying to stay loose to be productive here in the second half for Springfield.
Good ball movement by the Sentinels.
Big man to big man is
Stepped on the line, Jeff.
Joshua Minner going to be called with the turnover. Some object there falling on the floor, so Marquise Rudolph taking care of that. 20 seconds into the third quarter here. Deantra Scott to Terrace Clemens. Terrace directing traffic for his team. Scott with a strong take there, but did he step on the baseline?
He did, Jeff. After Halliburton stuck with him, moved his feet all the way to the basket, kept his feet on the ground, met him, blocked it, and as he recovered, it was out of bounds. So good defensive play there by Halliburton.
Halliburton there just getting his positioning underneath to where, he just ran out of real estate. Minner.
Good rebound by Minner.
Yeah, looking for the putback. He's fouled by Deantra Scott.
And you can see it on Springfield's faces. They believe they're going to win this game. There's no question about that.
Yeah, just here in the first 46 minutes of the third quarter, it looks like 2 different kind of attitudes on the floor right now.
Yeah, Bowling Green's a little slower, a little lethargic, and Springfield just going after it right now. Got to hit those free throws, though. We can't. Springfield can't give up those free points there at the charity stripe.
So Joshua Minner, who did miss 2 free throws in the second quarter, was 0 for 2. Misses both here in the third quarter. Torres Hampton with another rebound. Scott one-on-one with Halliburton. Good kick out to Kimberland. As he goes up top, Rudolph Floater's no good, left short there. Not sure if Watson got a piece of that one or if he just walled him off. Halliburton turns the ball over, but a foul is going to be called on Terrace Clemens.
Yeah, I think Halliburton would have been wise to give that ball up, but did get bailed out by the foul call on Clemens. So, big fellas out there, just get that ball up to a point guard. They can move that ball a lot quicker than you can and run the floor for that dunk and transition.
Harville shot off the mark, rebounded by Hampton. Deantra Scott on the other end. Great job, Tim, there, using the body and getting the left-handed lay-in by Deantra Scott.
Yeah, great body control by Scott.
48-43 your score, and joining us in the booth now is the owner of the Fort Wayne Flight, Benny Lewis.
How you doing, fellas?
We are doing good, Benny. This is a nice, tight game here. Springfield keeping it close on the Bowling Green Hornets, and it looks like to start the second half here, Bowling Green definitely winded.
Yeah, I mean, well, they only brought one sub, so it makes it a little bit tough to sustain runs. If it's a big court,
Absolutely.
And you need to be able to sub players in and out. But they've done well with being able to maneuver players in and out and try to keep them fresh. So it's been their calling card probably for the last 4 or 5 games. I know when we went down there and played them, they only had 6 or maybe 7 players. So it's become a style that they've been able to sort of maintain throughout.
Yeah, and having the league's leading scorer in Terrace Clemens definitely helps. As Joshua Minner, beautiful take.
Yeah, Minner's a very exciting player to watch. Can go to the lane with either hand. He's an outstanding player. Can shoot the three. Good defensive. Has good length. Really like watching Joshua Minner.
And he's extremely athletic. Oh my goodness.
Benny, we saw that last week when him and Cannon met at the cup a few times.
A couple of times, yeah. They went up, and Cannon was up real high, and he was up higher. And so it was just good basketball. I mean, the CBA has great athletes in it. I mean, all trying to break that ceiling, to get into the next level. I mean, anywhere. So.
And Benny, that even extends the players. Sometimes these coaches, and a great example is Roderick Wilmot, who, got the head coaching job with the Flight last year and then got picked up by the Mad Ants. And then Wasim was telling other stories of previous coaches that have moved on and taken college jobs and things of that nature.
Correct. And what coaches like to do is implement their style of coaching onto any groups of players. I've seen some, a lot of times you'll see NBA coaches out there actually coaching their AAU team and got them out there running NBA sets.
Yeah.
So it don't really matter where you go, as long as you got 5 basketball players to go out there and try to let me try this.
Legendary coach Larry Brown used to always say that when he was I believe coaching with the Sixers. He says, hey, all I need are 5 guys. I'll go out and coach the 5th graders.
Yeah.
And now you see him doing it at the D1 level, bringing back SMU.
Exactly. It's coaches like to coach, man, and that's what I like about this league. It gives those coaches an opportunity, and you can see the personalities of the coaches in the style of the ball players that they have, influence on. Wilmot is a defense first type coach, so you would expect all of our games to be low scoring games, and
the Flight far and away the best rebounding team in the league too, as far as the total rebounds.
Yeah, and so he uses the ball a lot, and some of the other teams. I mean, you have good players like E.J. Ward and Miles Thrash. Those generals on the floor. Yeah. You can get him more levity. and allow them to do things because they got high basketball IQs and they find their ball, they find their players open. So it's the style. And then this guy here, he's
fun to watch.
Oh my goodness, he
has yet to get going today, but this could be it right here. 4-3, Terrence Clemens reigns it.
Yeah, he's one of the purest shooters in our league. I mean, he's
got a beautiful left-handed stroke.
It's a knockdown. Whenever he's open, it's a knockdown. So,
Benny, I feel like maybe him and Alex Wells might be the best two shooters in the CBA, as that last three-pointer by Terrence Clemens gave Bowling Green back the lead at 54-53. Now up 56-53.
He can shoot it. There's just no doubt about it. He can shoot the ball, man.
Hey, look at that defense closeout right there, Coach. I mean, outstanding. Using that athleticism on the defensive end as well as Hampton gets called for a travel.
Right.
And this has been Bowling Green's problem here tonight. It's been the turnovers. The reason Springfield's in this game is because of the turnovers and their conversion off those turnovers. So, if Bowling Green can shore up that end of the ball game, they should be able to push this lead out a little bit.
And I'm sure some of that could be attributed to fatigue.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's still a game of basketball. Nobody's going to let you have an excuse. You either got, you're going to play or you're not going to play. I don't care if you have 6 guys or 10 guys.
Right. You showed up.
You showed up. You came out here. We're going to roll the ball out, so no excuses are necessary.
That's right.
Well, the one thing that Coach Wilmot and Coach Wilmot always tries to stress to the flight players is that when you get fatigued, you have to get fundamental. You can't take the chances. You got to get in triple threat position, and you have to make chest passes, and you don't want to start getting loopy and it's a hard concept to get across when you're mentally tired, physically tired as well.
And that's where we touched on that last night a little bit. That's where the practice and the muscle memory comes into play right there. If you're not practicing on your craft or the skill, as you get tired, your game's going to go in the tubes.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly practicing while you're tired, that doesn't come to a surprise to you in the games.
Right.
Here's Clemens high stepping up the court. He just has fun. You can see it. He loves to have fun.
Yeah. He's an entertainer, and athletes do what they do because they love the sport. But without the fans, there's not going to be as much of a call for it as Minner. Once again, just beautiful floating through the air.
That time went with the right hand. Either hand, it doesn't matter. He can finger roll that up, hang in the air. He's a very good player. Nice move by
Terrace
Clemens.
splitting defenders as it falls in.
That's a nice move. And I've noticed that you got to make Clemens go to his right if you're going to have any chance at all. He can still go right, but you'll have a better chance defensively if you keep him off his left hand.
Manney going to be called with the charge there.
Clemens is tough, man. It's no getting around it. He's a handful.
Yes, he is.
He's a handful all the time. And
Benny, it just seems like there's not a shot he can't make on the floor.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's good with the ball. He's good without the ball. He's a good catch and shoot player. He's off the dribble.
Can post you up.
He's a good free throw shooter.
And he's 6'6".
And he's dangerous.
Yeah.
He's just dangerous.
Not sure what
powerful offensive threat.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
Averaging 29 points a game, the league's leading scorer, is the scoring champion for 2015. Mardrakis Wade right behind him in the regular season, but Mardrakis scored 50 less points than Terrace Clemens on the season.
I think there's a discrepancy maybe on the score. Let's see here. So referees converse over there about the scores table, Jeff.
Yeah, it's 58-54, but the thing is, Joshua Minner had that lane there. I put Springfield up to 56 on that one, so not 100% sure. Scoreboard has been great, though, all weekend long. There's no doubt about it. Benny, a great job by the crew here at the McMillan Center.
Thank you.
Wasim and I were talking, statting all the games throughout the league. You've got scoring discrepancies in about 40% of the game, but here this weekend, it's been flawless.
Well, that's good. I mean, we have meetings about it, and we have meetings about the games, and we have, talking about different possibilities and trying to get the rulings right and the scoring right and the clock right. And so we talk about it. We practice. We have practice games and everything else using those score people so that we can all gearing up for this weekend and in 2 weeks, because we would hate that somebody was to be eliminated because of a scoring error or a statistical error, something along those lines. So it helps to have those conversations and to refer to the thing. I mean, we don't obviously we don't have a videotape where the referees can go right away. But if you just take a minute and stop the clock and discuss it,
makes all the difference.
Makes all the difference. It's better to get it right.
Absolutely.
instead of go into a situation where you don't do anything about it and you allow the game to just go on.
Especially in the playoffs where it's one and done.
Right.
I mean, you lose, you're done. Your season's over. Right. So it's every game, every possession is so important in the playoffs.
Well, the nice thing about it, another thing, a nice thing about it this year is that moving to CBA referees as opposed to, bringing outside. Outside referees in that don't necessarily know how we do things. These are CBA developed referees,
right?
And that's what makes it really, really nice, so that they know and understand the game that we're playing. So.
Right. And that's so important. You've had the same core of referees here all season as well. It's just like the players; they progress and get better too.
Correct.
So as the season's gone on in these playoffs, I mean, we were just talking to Wasim last night. I mean, the referees here last night did an outstanding job in both games. Making the correct call. If they weren't sure, they got together. The bottom line is getting it right for the players. We don't want anybody to feel cheated.
Right.
I mean, it's been nicely done. The Parks and Rec staff has been great. So it's a great facility. We love it.
Well, like I said, we want them to be able. I mean, want them to learn and be able to take these skills. Maybe once again, our score crew is no different than anybody else in the CBA. They're trying to advance to maybe doing NBA stats or maybe doing the D-League stats at the Coliseum with the Ants and things like that. So it's about job training, job development, the whole bit. There's crew, staff being able to set up and tear down a facility like this, and it helps everybody involved. So that's what the Parks Department has allowed us to do with a facility like this.
That's awesome.
That was a great take by Shaun Manney as Springfield's up now 64-62, just 2.5 minutes left here in the third quarter. Deantra Scott, three-pointer's no good. James with the rebound.
Lucky on that one because Scott with no hand in his face, usually going to knock that down. Didn't, and Manney came back and teed one up himself. And what do we got on the scoreboard here? I mean, Springfield on top. The confidence you can see just rising. It's oozing out of the players in black here. Bowling Greens needs to kill the tide, which they did right there with Scott.
Yeah, and really, I feel like for Bowling Green to win this game, Terrace Clemens at one point is just going to have to go on a run. And, it's like Coach Paul Gaffney was saying, with the short shot clock, I mean, it's a game of runs. So we'll see what happens here as we're winding down the third and heading into the fourth. Lincoln James, that's too easy.
Yeah, that was a very good look by Manny. Nice interior pass.
Tim, I don't know if you saw it just moments ago, but number 21 for Springfield, Engapadide, was down here, and Watson just kind of stepped to the side because his momentum was going towards the bucket. He was able to regroup, and I thought that was a great play by Watson.
It's those small things. I mean, it's everybody can see the jump shot make or the pass that makes it through, stuff like that. But it's the small things that are the difference in wins and losses.
71-66, your score with Springfield on top after that Shaun Manney lay-in. Beautiful outlet pass to Terrace Clemens. Does a good job of keeping that ball alive. Knocked away by Minna.
You can see the skill right there. It was caught in the corner. He already knew he was going to go baseline.
Tight-roped it.
Yeah, tight-roped it. Knew he was going to go to the crossover and go to the right hand. So we mentioned it with Miles Thrash last night, thinking a couple steps ahead. Some of these players are so good. The game comes so easy. They're definitely thinking way ahead 2 or 3 steps. They want to finish this 40 seconds here strong. Bowling Green needs a bucket.
Deantra Scott's the right man to go to, as that was a little bit too strong. Hampton, though, with another board.
I've never seen a rebounder since Charles Barkley. I tell you what, get so many rebounds with the player in front of him. He just knows how to get that little, that couple inch space, which is the difference in getting those rebounds.
Yeah, it should be no.
A technical on Watson there. Got called for the foul and barked at the ref a little bit and teed him up immediately.
And then by FIBA rules, you know that when you get a technical foul, it also counts as a personal foul.
Right.
And so it's when you only have 6 basketball players, that can be critical going into the fourth quarter.
Right.
So,
Benny, what's the feedback been from the flight players having this event here and seeing all the other teams coming in?
It's been really, really good for the players, because even though we've seen all of them play against us, it's good to see them how they match up against each other, in the matchups themselves. So.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to Antonio Cannon and got his thoughts on E.J. Ward's game, but it's neat to see one point guard break down another point guard.
Right.
Because they have some similar skill sets, but also very different too.
Right. And what you get a chance to do is you get a chance to see those guys playing against other guys in the league.
Yes.
Yeah.
All here in the same spot over the last couple of days. We got a chance to see everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks from now, we're going to get to see Cannon go up against EJ. So.
Exactly. So that's gonna be a matchup that
That's a 2014 league MVP against a guy that could have been the 2015 MVP.
Right.
Well, what it is the MVP going against with these 4 teams, possibly if with these 3 teams that have already made it, Nashville, Fort Wayne, and Chattanooga, you're going to see the 3 best guards in the league with Miles Thrash, Antonio Cannon, and they have a mutual respect for each other. Believe it. And so it's.
And you're talking about from a point guard?
From a point guard position.
Standpoint?
Yeah, they have a mutual respect for each other. So it's going to be nice to see.
Nice rebound by Watson, and leaves it up for Torres Hampton. Tim, right before the buzzer. What a play.
That was a huge bucket for Bowling Green to cut it within 2. A little momentum slide for them. So getting that last bucket before the quarter is huge. And that was, it was a heady play by Watson, knowing how much time was on the clock still. Threw it up there, and Hampton was there for the putback. So, give credit to Watson of at least getting it up on the glass to give his chance. give his team a chance for a bucket.
But hey, when you got the big man Hampton, who has set the record for most rebounds in a game, why not just throw it up close to the cylinder and see what happens, right?
Yeah, he's got 12 already. He's got 12 in through the first 3 quarters. So, he knows how to use that wide body. And as I mentioned, I haven't seen many guys be able to rebound from behind guys as well as he does.
When the flight went to Bowling Green, Benny, and took on these Hornets, I thought that Antonio Wilson and James Humphrey did a good job against the big man.
Yeah, they did. But he's a load. I mean, he's a load, and he uses his body real well. I mean, inside, he knows how to create space. And he actually just purchases real estate in the lane, and it's hard to move him, when he owns. It's like playing that Monopoly game. You buy some, every time you land in one of his spots, you got to pay him.
Yeah, he's got that corner of the board locked up, huh?
Yeah,
Broadway and Park Place.
he's huge in there, man. He takes up a lot of room and a lot of space.
And for a big, for example, an Antonio Wilson, game by game, depending on the matchup, does that change kind of his focus on the game or what he's trying to get accomplished in that game?
Well, I mean, just like coaches, Antonio Wilson watches a lot of film. He watches, he's probably, I would say half the hits on the CBA website would be from him. Most of the time, he could actually write the scouting report, especially where the bigs are concerned. So he studies the game a lot, and he looks for advantages. If you ever, his board work is, you're constantly seeing different things that he's doing. That like you say, the little things around the basket that makes him valuable.
Yeah, his rebound has really impressed me, and just his tenacity going after the ball. I mean, he really believes that every rebound is supposed to be his.
It's supposed to be his.
Yeah,
and he finishes well around the basket as well.
Right,
But you got your guy Hampton that does the same thing.
Right.
Hampton is just, he has great court awareness inside that keyway triangle. So both blocks in the free throw line. He rarely takes a shot that he can't make.
Yeah. Knows his game.
Knows his game.
Yeah.
And that's why they're always a good matchup.
Well. Excuse me, but going back to getting it right, 2 points were added for Springfield because there were 2 free throws that were missed. So the score is 74-70. Make that 74-72 now after the make. So still a 2-point game here, and we're 13 seconds into the fourth. I'll tell you, if Bowling Green does squeak out with the win here, they're probably going to need to bring a little bit larger of a roster in 2 weeks when they come back to the fort. So we're going to redo the inbounds.
Yeah.
No time is taken off the clock.
Reset the shot clock.
Marquise Rudolph back to Deantra Scott. Still waiting for Clemens to get going here as Rudolph drains the three.
I tell you what, this Rudolph guy is going to be another one of those individuals that you're going to have to add into that group. I mean, he's a big fourth quarter ball player. I mean, he can step up and do some things, I tell you. And
he can lead you in scoring.
That's what I mean. You can put him in the. When you're talking about point guards, putting him in that group with Cannon, Thrash, and Ward. So he's turning into and then Mardrakus Wade. So we're starting to get every team having those types of players.
Well, and as basketball has evolved, Benny, I mean, you could be, contest that. I mean, it's the point guard. It seems like every year it becomes more and more important. More is asked on a point guard. We talked about it earlier. 3 out of the best 5 or 6 players in the NBA are point guards.
Right,
So, point guard is tremendous, almost the quarterback on a football team. It's that sort of thing. So, they got to do everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most positions are recruited. Point guards are recommended.
Words of wisdom by Benny Lewis right there.
That's a Bennyism.
You recommend them. If you're trying to put a team together and you don't have a point guard in mind, it's going to be a tough season. So that's why, I mean, you'll see even your best coaches, they'll go back to their, when they're recruiting, college coaches, when they're recruiting point guards for their schools, and they go back to guys that point guards that played for them,
right?
And say, hey, can you recommend me a point? Who you got?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they got the ball in their hand all of the time.
It's so important. Yeah.
So you need those passes. You need somebody to run your offense. You need that coach on the floor.
Absolutely.
And what they do on the floor doesn't necessarily always show up in the box scores. We were talking about earlier with deflected passes. Like what a great attribute that is to a team when you have a defensive player that can get in those lanes and deflect those passes.
Deflections show effort is basically what it shows. Effort and defensive mindset. So that's a huge stat, and you've seen teams collegiately start statting those more and more every year. Tom Crean at IU being a perfect example of that ever since he's been in Bloomington. Statting those deflections and rewarding his players on who has the most deflections.
Right. They just do so much for you. They got to run your offense. They got to defend.
Be a leader.
They have to make shots when they got to take the right shots.
Bring the ball up under pressure. Yep. Guard the other point guard under pressure, sometimes full court, depending on the defense. So, it's
a whole different world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basketball played from the waist down.
Right. Right.
It's all floor game.
Yep.
Well, Benny, this place was packed just about an hour ago. There was 2 other courts full of players, some of the flight mites out there. I saw some 10-year-old just draining 3-pointers like he knew what he was doing. It's like, whoa. It's neat seeing the young kids, and man, you got some good ball players around here.
A lot of the flight players are up here working out with the guys with the young kids every day. And they look up to him. That's one of the things about it. And we could shut it down, and we could shut the gym down and everything else. But they want to be out there. They want to. The nice thing about it is I can just drop the curtain, and they can come over here and pick up a move and then go over on the other side and then practice it.
Right.
And so that's what a lot of them are doing. I just saw him guy do this or off the handle and then go over to the other side and start working on that type of thing. So it's just basketball all the time, all around, and it's just a nice thing. I mean, it's no different than when you go out in the park and you have a main court going, and the little kids are sitting there watching all of the older guys play. And it's the same concept here. And so have this type. I mean, like the Rucker. I mean, it's not Rucker. A lot of people think it's only just that one main court,
right?
But it's that main court. The kids are sitting there watching them play, and then they go over to the other court and start practicing on what the things that they see the other guys do. Same thing here.
Shaun Manney behind the backboard. Jumper's no good. Score is 79-77 right now. Bowling Green on top. Benny, do the kids ever ask you how they can jump as high as Antonio Kalen?
I had to just change out some rims because they were all hanging on those rims. Every person under 6 foot was trying to jump up there and dunk the ball. Like Antonio Kalen, and I had to change out rims just for this tournament. Not for this tournament, for the speech tournament, because They had bent the rims from hanging on them. So
well,
one of the perils,
right. But that's
having an Antonio Cannon.
Yeah, and then having like Watson here in the first half on that alley-oop.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was. It's pretty crazy, the athleticism, and it seems like every year players get more and more athletic. Back 20 years ago, you may have had one or two on a team, or one. Now it seems like you got a handful, or 3/4 of the team are jumping almost elbow to rim. So it's just a progression of athletes, and progression of the work ethic and facilities like this, where they can come work on their game 365.
Right.
Right.
Marquise Rudolph with 6 points and Deantra Scott with 5 points here in the fourth quarter, helping Bowling Green take back that lead and go up 83-77.
Yeah, big time by Bowling Green. Could have gave up there as they went down for the first time today, but didn't. Battled back, and now we're back up by 6. So, give credit where credit's due, and that goes to Bowling Green and the coaching staff of keeping his players mentally focused and pushing through that small lead by Springfield. And now look what happened here. They're back up by 6 and have control.
Clemens right now 15 points below his season average with 14 points in this game, out there coaching up his players, just getting everybody jacked up, trying to insert that extra bit of life into his guys, because they've had one guy on the bench. I mean, it's in and out.
And look at him. He's out there smiling, laughing, keeping everybody loose.
Yeah.
So you need players like that on a team. You need serious ones, and you need guys like that who could could break that feeling sometimes.
Leadership comes in so many different forms.
It does. And don't worry about those. There's 6 minutes and 45 seconds left. There's plenty of time for him to get his average.
There's no question about
No doubt. Loose ball.
A lot of basketball game left.
Almost had a collision over there on the sideline.
Chris Watson doing a good job of avoiding all the kids sitting courtside, as the kids like to get as close to the court as possible. Benny, during the flight games, you always got about 3 or 4 of them over there with the basketball, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Just waiting.
Just waiting. Waiting for a timeout, waiting for a halftime.
Dribbling between their legs with their eyes just locked on the court.
Right.
Nice screen.
Halliburton down low to
That's
Watson.
the easy one.
Yeah, Watson just a little bit too strong there. Clemens on the opposite end pulls up from 16.
Just looks like he's rushing it a little bit tonight. I don't think he's not forcing it, I wouldn't say, but he's still letting the game come to him. But he looks a little too quick right now. He needs to slow down a bit, but it could be the travel. Who knows? Everybody has an off game as well, but I'd love to have an off game and still have 14 and 6. So
this is between the two teams. I mean, even though Springfield has some extra subs, it's still in the last 5 minutes of your ball game. It shrinks your bench to 5 guys, and it's going to be based on the stamina of the 5 guys that are out there to get the win in this last 5 minutes in this game is a long time to be out there playing, especially in a playoff game.
Absolutely.
And we saw that with your guy Antonio Cannon down the stretch yesterday, as he really just took it upon himself to make sure the Fly secured that W.
Yeah. That's Scott's 7th rebound of the game.
Kalen Kimberland blocked by Watson, but they're going to call foul on number 43, I do believe.
That was a good take. Go right at the shot blocker. Watson doesn't have the leaping ability, so if you just get your body into his body, you're going to be able to get that shot up over his outstretched hand.
Watson at 6'6", 265,
and that's Watson's 5th foul, Jeff. He's fouled out of the ball game.
Torres Hampton goes 6'8", 265. Very similar frames. Kalen Kimberland at the free throw line. Once again, as Tim noted, Watson has now fouled out of this game. Big number 43.
So Kimberland's been quiet in the fourth quarter, but looking up at the scoreboard, their team's up by 5 with a little bit of control. So it's been a nice performance by the whole team for Bowling Green. It hasn't been a one-man show by any means.
And it seems like throughout the course of this season, Kalen Kimberland steps up when needed, but for the most part is just that positive force on the court. Like we were saying earlier, it may not show up in the stat sheet, but it does with the W.
He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, he's solid. He takes good shots. He's a good decision maker between whether I should take the outside shot or drive to the basket. He's a good free throw shooter. You know, he's a dangerous ball player.
Yeah, with all the time he's had the ball in his hands here this afternoon, not to have any turnovers speaks volumes.
Right. Right.
Score is 85-79 right now. 5.5 minutes left to play here in the opening round of the 2015 CBA playoffs.
7 to 3 p.m. We're going to have the annual Teenage Sunday at Jennings Recreation Center. This Sunday, teens and youth are honored for their efforts.
So many events going on here at the McMillan Center. Pickleball earlier today, Benny. The parking lot was full.
Yeah. That's becoming really, really huge here in Fort Wayne. I know down in Florida they have hundreds of courts. You know, tournaments.
Is this the only one in Fort Wayne? Or?
No. We have 6 indoor courts here, but we also have them at Follinger. Frankie Park, and then we also have them at Lions Park, and so we got them spread out throughout.
Lions Park there off Vance Avenue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we put them up in different places, and then they also have them out at Sport One as well. So it gives us, it's a popular sport among seniors. So
well, then you had last night had a wedding reception in here. You have this smaller room here where it seems like every time I'm here you have some kind of function going there, whether it's a birthday party or a graduation party or something to that effect. So
we try to keep it busy. I mean, if it's supposed to be multi-purpose, we just try to find a purpose.
Yeah, that's right.
Deantra Scott driving from the wing, left short, rebounded by Joshua Minner.
Minner's 5th rebound of the game.
Manney, nice behind the back dribble.
So smooth. Yeah.
Shaun Manney's game has progressed so much this season, Benny.
Yes.
Just 24 years old.
But it's going. What happens is it can develop quick. Because you're going up against good players every week.
He's forced to,
and in a concentrated time. 8 weeks, 8 weeks is plenty.
Yeah.
But it's plenty, and so you have to.
Torres Hampton there takes a spill as he was locked up with Lincoln James.
Yeah, if he's going to fall to the ground, there was a bit of contact there. He ain't just going to go down on his own. He's a big fella.
Well, and Lincoln James, being the veteran he is with overseas experience, 6'2", 180, holding his own there with Torres Hampton. But Hampton's going to take a breather. No, that's his 5th.
That's his 5th foul.
Yeah, and going back to your point, Benny, when the competition is either going to raise your game or you're going to shrink from it.
Exactly.
So, this is the perfect way to figure out what you're made of.
Right.
And if this is really what you want to do, or if it's not, maybe this will help you realize you want to go more to the coaching roles or that sort of thing. So, there's a multi-purpose league here to figure out. It's great for these young men.
It's a good decision maker for you. I can tell you. You can find out quickly in a short period of time if this is what you want to do. Because it introduces you to getting yourself back into shape. There he goes.
Marquise Rudolph with the 3 puts the Hornets up 88-83.
Huge bucket there.
That's what I'm saying. He's good in going down the stretch. Look at that.
Benny, do the guys like the NBA three-point line? This Watson.
It takes some. If you've been playing, if you've been playing in a facility that some of our facilities are different, and we play by the farthest marking on the floor. Mm-hmm. So if you're playing in a college gym, and if the college gym is the farthest marking on the floor, then we play by that. If it's playing in a high school gym, in the high school, 3-point line is the farthest marking on the floor. Right. We're the only one with an NBA 3 marker. I think Chattanooga has a FIBA line, international line, but we have the NBA 3 line here. So it usually takes players about a quarter or so to get used to it, and but after that.
It seems like the biggest problem players have had with it here is over here on the 3-point in the corners, with just, feeling like there's, half a foot, 8 inches less than what there normally is on a college court or a high school court. Right. So you've seen a lot of guys just from muscle memory feel like they have enough space, but just not used to the court and how short that distance is from the 3-point NBA line to the out-of-bounds line. You see a lot of guys having about 3 inches of their foot hanging over that back line. So that's been something that players had to adjust to here at the Mack Center.
Right. But they weren't going to make it anyway.
If you got to check your feet.
If you got to check your feet, they were going to make it anyway. Their feet were out of bounds. You don't know. I mean, that sideline is the same all the way down to the other. One
straight line. It's a straight line. Springfield run out of time here, Jeff. 3.5 minutes, down by 7.
Token pressure there in the backcourt. Cross-court pass goes to Kimberland, far wing.
No reason to jack that up right there. You can get that shot anytime in the shot clock. Nice look.
Beautiful darting pass. Watson's fouled and will head to the free throw line to shoot 2.
And that's where the defender needs to put more pressure on Scott passing the ball there. If you're up in his face, up in his chest as a defender, he may not be able to see that cutter there on the baseline. So, it's a lot of people will look at that play and think it was the defender on the post's fault, but that right there is all set up by the lack of pressure on the passer. And that's what coaches, teach, especially with, just for me following IU basketball, I know that a little bit more. But, Coach Green, teaching the players that we don't have a shot blocker back there. So with you get better make that post feed real hard because they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
92-83, Bowling Green now pulling away here in the late fourth quarter.
It all started with that Rudolph 3, too.
He stepped out of bounds.
Tough turnover.
Marquise Rudolph, that three-pointer, gave them a 5-point advantage. They were up by 2 at the time, 85-83.
Up by 9 now, so as you mentioned, Benny, so important is he in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's been the whole quarter, too. Him and Deantra Scott just really stepping up large. Marquise Rudolph is fast. He's slippery. 3-point attempt, just short. Rebounded by Kimberland.
Reset the shot clock.
You just can't have that happen.
Those are killers right there.
When you're behind. Can't have that happen.
And is that just knowing where your man is, just being accountable for all the players on the court?
That's forgetting to box out. Right. Once again, like I said, when in this part of the game, with fatigue, you have to get fundamental. Right? And that means the small things, the boxing out.
Nice take by Lincoln James.
And that's the difference as you progress through the leagues and through, as you go through the upper echelons.
Again,
you're going to have players that are your skill set, that are your athleticism. It's how you do the other things, the small things, and your basketball IQ that can make the difference of a contract and not a contract.
And what separates you.
Right.
It's going to be those things that separate you.
Man, can you hang up in the air. Rudolph, he knows all he got to do is throw it near the rim, a la Vince Carter in his heyday.
That's legs there.
Yeah.
There's no legs there.
No, just tired.
And that's where the NBA 3 becomes a problem for guys like late in the game, and you don't have much legs left. You have to really push that. You really have to push that shot off with your legs, and you don't have any legs left. You'll see a lot of air balls.
Yeah, and if you don't practice while you're fatigued, you're not going to be able to play while you're fatigued.
That's
right. That would be my biggest advice to any of the young coaches out there with young teams or anything is that.
We saw it today with Coach Gaffney. Calls a timeout with 1 minute and 30 seconds
by
left.
30, yeah.
Wanted to get his team some water so we could run in the last 1.5 minutes.
And that's exactly what he said. He wants to, he wants to prepare his team for later on in the rounds. He knows there's going to be a close game in this, so let's not relax when there's a minute and a half. Let's call a timeout, regroup, and let's play this like it's a meaningful minute and a half. So that's just the coaching. It's outstanding coaching in this league.
It's preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. Not taking a second for granted. Even when you're up by 30, there's still a teaching tool involved in that.
Correct.
Benny, you feel a lot of love amongst the coaches and their teams here in this 2015 playoffs.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we had a league meeting this morning with all the coaches and players, and we went over the things that we're trying to accomplish for players and for coaches and for the league itself. As we move forward and as we trend upward to making everything better. Our presentation, our video presentation, our photography, our venues, our players, our on and off the court appearances and things like that. So giving a definition to what it means to be in the CBA and to be a CBA player or to be a CBA coach, and hopefully the message got through to the players, and they'll take that away with them and be proud of the league that they're actually playing in. It means something to be an NBA player, and it means something to be a D-League player, and it means something to be an international player. We want it to mean something to be a CBA player.
And you know what? You already get a sense of that, Benny, and I think it starts with the owners who pick the coaches, who bring in the players and mold them. And all the way around, I really don't feel like there's any weak links, and everybody's just feeding off each other, getting stronger, building a better team, a better product like you were just saying, and with the want to even get better than what we've already accomplished.
Right. I mean, it's you can be a competition where you can be a pass through, where players come and play a couple of games and then go off and play overseas or go up to the next level and all that stuff. But what does it mean to go through the CBA and find talent or develop your game or you can be all of those things within the league as long as the players and the coaches and the owners and everybody involved with it are on the same page and moving towards the same goals. And I think that's what Wasim Murad does as a president, is keep us moving forward and keep us all on the same page and all transparency, no kidding around with them. Everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be doing it. Makes it real easy.
And it weeds out the organizations that they're not into it, then they move on.
Nothing wrong with not being into it.
Right.
But for those that are into it, maximize it.
Yeah.
Maximize the opportunities, maximize the capabilities, maximize your outcomes.
Kalen Kimberland at the free throw line as Bowling Green's pretty much got this game locked up here, which is 55 seconds left to play. 101-91 is your score. The Hornets, Torres Hampton fouled out with 5 minutes left to play, and they just keep on chugging along as it looks like Joshua Minner is going to head to the free throw line.
The one thing I like about the Springfield coach is that he keeps coaching all the way through. Whether he's 15 points up or 15 points down, he continues to coach his team, and they're going to be better. They're going to be better.
I see Springfield. Their team, as you see it right now, is more or less the team that they had at the beginning of the season, and they have gotten better and better and more competitive and more competitive. You look at a team like Mississippi in their first season going 4-4, but they've brought in some really great players.
Right.
Where this Springfield team is just bonded together, and as a team full of warriors, just, hey, we're going to get better. We're not going to be humiliated.
Right.
And
it's tough. I mean, it's tough coming. It's tough coming into a competition where you have teams that are that are 2-3 years of knowledge of, and when you don't, and it's a short season. It's only, like I said, it's 10 games.
You don't have a whole lot of time to get right.
You don't have a whole lot of time to get right, and you got to pick your players. You got to pick your players. You got to pick your coach. And it happens so quick. And then, okay, 1 week you play, and the next week you play, and the next week you play, and you got to have time to make some adjustments. So if you don't have players that are readily available for you, it makes it tough.
Obviously, your son Benny Jr. playing overseas, very successful professional basketball player. What's his take on the CBA? I'm assuming he's pretty excited about the league as well.
He is. He enjoys it. He keeps up with it. He keeps up with it, and he has great friendships with James Humphrey and Antonio Cannon, Antonio Wilson, and some of the other guys. And when he comes home, he spends a lot of time these are his workout partners, and so he follows the league on the CBA channel and on the CBA channel, and also on the Flight Facebook page, and he's always making recommendations and looking for opportunities for players. Recommending guys from a player's standpoint. So
the CBA is all over the place, is it not? Joshua Minner, that would have been a beautiful dunk, as we've seen him supply many spectacular dunks throughout the course of this season. But I believe Wasim was saying 52 players already signed overseas. Probably going to get that number closer to the 100 by the time next season starts. So a lot of CBA faces out there. It's growing.
Yes,
that network is growing.
Yeah.
And the network's very, very, very important no matter what field you're in.
Well, it's also how you come in. How you get an opportunity to come into the league. Some will come into it. Some will start developing the place for the CBA next year in June.
Yeah.
Working their way in the ball club, starting to travel with them and things like that in their off seasons. But we just have to keep doing what we're doing, and we should be fine.
Yeah, it's been a great 2 seasons for sure so far. So Bowling Green takes the W. They're going to advance to the semifinal round, winning it 105-94 with just 6 players on their roster today. We're going to send it down to Tim Atkinson, who's got Coach Gorins for an interview. Benny, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Sitting here with Coach Gorins here. Obviously, not the outcome you wanted, all right, but you guys battled. You stayed true to what you guys are, and that's a scrappy, talented team. What did you think was the ultimate difference in tonight against Bowling Green?
Well, first of all, I give them a lot of credit on the way they played. They held their composure. We did come at them. I had a game plan, and I know from the past, controlling the possessions is very important. But I'm proud of my guys. They've came out of learning how to play professional basketball. And see, that's the whole thing here, is learning how to play on this level. And what can you get out of this, And so that's what's most vital for me.
Can you tell me a little bit about Manney and Minner and what they mean to your team and the improvement that they've had over this year?
Oh, wow, it's like cracking open an egg. When they came to me, they were quiet. They were choir little boys. I have to lose my voice every day, and once they come out that shell, they can fly. And so being able to show them, because I played pro ball for several years, being able to show them how to use your God-gift ability at certain times, certain speeds, controlling the clock, things like that. So I'm proud of them. They are vital to us. They are vital.
Great game, Coach. Great season. Good luck, and we hope to see you yourself next year.
Oh, no, everybody wants me to play. All right,
thank you. Have a good day.
That's Coach Gorns down there with Tim Atkinson. And we'll see. Looks like Tim's going to have Coach Thompson here join us as well.
Standing here with Coach Thompson. Team battled through Springfield. They come at you like they do, and they came at you, went up on you guys, and your team battled back and closed them out big time. What was the difference here today?
Well, like you said, we got to give them a lot of credit. They came in with a great game plan, which is to collapse on us when we drive. We look to hit the gaps, the open lanes, really attack. First half, we didn't do that very well. The second half, we kept attacking. Eventually, we thought they got a little tired with on their heels, backpedaling, and that's when we attacked the basket. But the main thing is we really harped on spacing. You've got an NBA three-point line, but yet we're still inside like it's a high school line. I told them at one time, I said, guys, we got 4 guys from the wing to the wing. I said, there's no way you're going to get in the lane with no spacing. So we finally pushed the guys down deep in the corners. The lanes opened up. We started doing what we do best, and that's run and transition. Went to our press late, just kind of try to put it away late. Got very lucky with 6 guys, 1 foul's out. The 5th one had 4 fouls, and had he picked up the 5th, it would have got really interesting that last minute, because I think probably need to figure out that rule, but my interpretation was that every time he fouls is a technical in the ball. The official said it was every time the team fouls, period. Be that the case, it would have been really hard to finish that last minute. So we got lucky that he didn't pick up the 5th, but he didn't help. He was still being too aggressive for me to have 4 fouls, but can't fault Chris for that. So.
And Clemens had, still put his, still filled the stat sheet a little bit, but was a little off tonight. Really impressed by Kimberland coming out in the 4th quarter. I think without him, he hit that 3 late in the 4th that really started your tide to put them away. What does he mean to your club, especially late in games?
He means a lot. Both him and Marquise are super quick. That's what we rely on, is our speed. So like I said, if they take that away, we tend to struggle a little bit because we're not able to get into sets and run through it like Springfield. That's not our game. It's up-tempo, get up and down. But Kalen, the last, I would say, 5 or 6 games, has really done a great job of attacking the basket. Getting to the basket. If he doesn't hit it, he gets fouled and goes to the rim. Then they got to play off of him, and then he's still capable of hitting the shots outside. Well, like you said, TC, I thought struggled, the first half, trying to find the flow of the game. But he's going to always come through by the end of the game. So he, like you said, he ended up filling the stat sheet, and I'm sure it probably turned out better than what he played the first half. But good team effort. We battled with, like I said, 6 people. I got to go back here and call a couple guys. We need more than 6. It'll be tough at the 30th.
yeah, you're coming back here in 2 weeks for the 2nd round. So, yeah, obviously you want to travel with a couple more players so we don't have to get into looking at that rule. So great game, Coach, tonight, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So that was Coach Thompson there. We'll see. Tim might have one more interview for us. That's Terrace Clemens, who finished with 14 points today and 6 rebounds. So we're going to take it down to Terrace.
All right, standing here with Clemens. Guys pulled it out there. As Springfield, they scrappy. They came at you guys, cut the lead. They went up on you guys. What was the difference on you guys pulling it out there in the 4th quarter?
The 4th quarter was big. Was definitely the spacing with the three-point line being a little stretched out, man. It kept a little space, and we wasn't doing that at first. We just got out of position. But as soon as we got spaced out, everybody had enough talent to get around the corners. And once we started doing that, everything worked out. Our energy got up and just got right.
And I was impressed. You know, you had not your best first half. I'm sure. You felt like you could have done a lot more that first half, but came out in the second half. But you're always smiling. You're always trying to get it looks like you're trying to get your players up. Do you take pride in, even when the game's not 100%? I mean, you still fill the stat sheet. Don't get me wrong, but when the game's not at your top level, you still got to be there for your teammates.
I'm still getting better at that. For the longest, if I wasn't scoring good, my game wasn't good. So the best advice I got was, when you're at that moment when you're not scoring, what can I do to help my team right now? And ever since I started using that, just keeping the guy up, just talking. So I just know I had a lot to work on with that. So.
Yeah, and we can definitely notice that in the progression there. So great game today, Clems, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, sir.
All right.
So that's Terrace Clemens, the sharpshooter for Bowling Green, just 23 years old. So some of the most exciting, best players in this league, still very, very young in age. So once again, the table is set now for May the 30th. Semifinal round of the 2015 Central Basketball Association playoffs, as Fort Wayne and Chattanooga, the number 4 seed and the number 1 seed, will do battle in game number 1. In game number 2, it will be the number 2 seed Bowling Green Hornets taking on the number 6 seed Middle Tennessee Storm. And Tim's going to join us here for some last words. Tim, you got a chance to talk with Terrace Clemens down there, only 23 years old. And listening to his responses, it seems like it's universal now in the CBA, where these players know they have to work on their flaws so they can get to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it with these guys' interviews. You can see it in their eyes that they're trying to make this a career. There's a reason that they're all here. It's not just to play some pickup games or what have you. Get another extra year of organized basketball. This is about taking the scouts' information and improving on the things that are negative and erasing those so you can get yourself a contract. So, Clemens said it perfect right there. He hasn't been very good with keeping his head up when his personal game hasn't been the best. But now that he's learned from that, he's taken it upon himself to be a leader, even when his game's not down. But he's still going to fill a stat sheet. I mean, he's that good. But yeah, congratulations to Bowling Green. They I'm very impressed with Springfield. I am every time I see them. They so scrappy, and hats off to Coach Gorns and today. But it's been exciting 2 games and 4 games here in the first round of the playoffs, Jeff. We couldn't ask for anything better.
No, most definitely looking forward to the semifinals, just 2 weeks away, and we will have the coverage for you. Folks, thanks for joining us, and once again, the semifinals of the playoffs start in 2 weeks, with the first matchup being Chattanooga and Fort Wayne. To follow will be Bowling Green and Middle Tennessee.